Hi, welcome back. This lesson follows on from the mass tourism lesson focused on Spain and looks at our second case study of the tourism unit, which is on ecotourism. And I'm going to focus on Costa Rica as our named case study example. We need to focus on what's driven the growth of ecotourism, what the impacts of ecotourism are, and what are the ways of successfully managing ecotourism. So it's a very similar question structure to the mass tourism in Spain. What are the causes? What are the impacts? What are the solutions? As before, it's really important that you've got the detail, the case study detail. The named examples are essential to the quality of your answer. So make sure you're writing the notes down as they appear on the screen. So let's get started. So ecotourism in Costa Rica. Where is Costa Rica is a good starting point. We are in Central America, and Costa Rica is a really large country, has two coastlines, and is predominantly made up of tropical rainforest. Some of the attractions that people go to the Costa Rica to see are the Monteverde cloud forest. It's certainly one of the case studies that you should be noting down. It has hundreds of species of bird, reptilian, and amphibian life, and it's drawn people from across the world to see its wonders. It's also famous for having this kind of network of mid-treetop bridges, so you kind of feel as if you're in the forest as opposed to on the forest floor. Hence the name, cloud forest. Some other amazing natural wonders that people like to visit are the Fortuna waterfall for its natural beauty, which is at the base of a amazing dormant volcano. You can go to live volcanoes if you want to take your life into your hands. This is the Poas volcano, and people would love the adventure of that. Costa Rica has also got loads and loads of national parks, and this map just gives you a kind of window into how many national parks and conservation areas they have, and you can see those labelled. So, what causes the rise of ecotourism in Costa Rica? What has encouraged it? Referring to an area you've studied, describe in detail the main features of ecotourism. I feel this question is a little ambiguous, but really what we're being asked here is, what do you know about why ecotourism takes place? And the case study you've got to mention is Costa Rica. You must start off with the named country example. So ecotourism aims to promote tourism which conserves the local environment. That's the first thing to point out. So if I just skip back to the question for a second, describe in detail the main features of ecotourism. Your answer would sound like this. In Costa Rica, ecotourism aims to promote tourism which conserves the local environment. It also encourages the understanding of culture and the way of life. Now that's basically a definition of what ecotourism seeks to do. It gives opportunities for people to learn, and one of the aims of ecotourism is to make tourists more enthusiastic about conserving the environment. A good case study example here is that Costa Rica has actually set up 30 national parks, and they encourage ecotourism to all of them. These are managed under one organization called SINAC. You don't need to remember what it actually stands for, you just need to remember the acronym SINAC as your case study. So they've got one governmental organization that's trying to stitch all of this together to encourage people to visit these national parks in a safe and sustainable, environmentally friendly way. Now, part of ecotourism is that we want to make sure that the activities do not negatively impact on the area. Now, in this picture here, you can see this gentleman's feeding local wildlife, and that is a negative impact because those animals will become used to the idea that tourists feed them, and that's one step on the very dangerous road towards them becoming semi-domesticated, and that threatens their survival. You should never do that if that's something that you see the opportunity to do. And it's not part of the ecotourist code. Ecotourism also tries to engage local communities. It's a really important part of it. So local people in Costa Rica should be benefiting with local jobs, especially in areas of Costa Rica where there are few other income sources. If you live within a national park, well, you can't go chopping down the trees or anything like that because it's a national park. So it's important to provide the people that live within these protected areas with jobs that are actually active in protecting the area. So, for example, jobs as park rangers is a really good example of how we get the local population involved. Also, in this case, this is a local tribes person. It should benefit the native people. It's perhaps an unfashionable word to use, but this local tribes person, I like this photo because he's not wearing his traditional dress. He's just wearing his regular clothes because though he belongs to a tribe, that he doesn't mean he wears his traditional clothes the whole time. But these tribes people have been able to gain some employment by either welcoming tourists into their villages to take part in ceremonies or by selling artwork, as you can see the gentleman is making. They also work as travel guides and rangers in the parks. This is really important because if we don't provide ways for traditional communities, forest tribal communities, to survive, then we risk losing them altogether. And they are as much a part of the history of the national parks of Costa Rica as any other element of the park. So providing a mechanism by which the indigenous tribes can survive and make a bit of money in order to survive, that's part of the ecotourism plan. Linked into that point is that those local people should have a say in the promotion of tourist developments. Now, I'm going to point out here, I've slightly fudged things. This image is not from Costa Rica. I couldn't find a suitable image that really summarized what I wanted it to show. This is actually of the Aquar indigenous tribe in Brazil, but it's exactly the same kind of concept where you're meeting with local tribal people to incorporate them into your plan to ensure their survival as a culture and to make sure that they're part of the aims of ecotourism, which are to sustainably improve the area into the future. Another picture not from Costa Rica, I'm afraid. This is the Galapagos Islands. Ecotourism aims to inform and educate tourists about the natural environment of the area. And I just couldn't resist a picture of a massive tortoise, I'm afraid. But tours giving people knowledge and insight into the animals and plants of the area are very much part of what ecotourism aims to do. Ecotourism creates money, and that money allows us to set up national parks and to fund national parks. National parks cost money to organise and to run, and they need protection, they need staffing, they need equipment, and they need all sorts of things, advertising. And ecotourism provides the money to do that. So to protect these rainforest areas, to protect the animals within them, the plants within them, and the people within them, we have this solution called ecotourism. And ecotourism is where tourists want to come to an area to learn about the area, to learn about the culture, to learn about the plants and the animals, to give back to the area by contributing towards the local economy and by contributing towards the skills that local people are learning. As I've said, the money raised is a really important factor. And in 2016, global tourism contributed 7.6 trillion in revenue towards countries that you see on the graph. Now, Costa Rica may not be the top line on the graph, but you can see that Costa Rica, over the years 95 to 2013, has risen. The amount of money they've been making has been rising year on year, with a downturn after the financial crash in 2007, of course. So, what are the effects of ecotourism in Costa Rica? Well, broadly positive. You should probably be talking about Costa Rica, and I'm going to talk about the cloud forest here. It raises local as well as international awareness of this natural environment, and that's a good thing. In developing countries want to conserve their fragile environments, and they view ecotourism as a way of doing that. If your only way of making money as a developing country is to chop down and destroy the rainforest that you have because you have no other resources, then that's what you're going to do. So ecotourism is another way of using that forest that makes money but that doesn't destroy the forest. And that's why ecotourism is a really important, that's one of its most important impacts. Interestingly, it is also the case that developed countries want to help conserve these environments by promoting ecotourism. So it's in everybody's interests that we encourage people to take part in ecotourism. One of the impacts of ecotourism is that tourists are now more environmentally conscious and they want to help protect fragile environments for future generations. And ecotourism provides work and opportunities for local people. It improves their living standard. It promotes awareness of local cultures and traditions. It gives skills to those local people as well so they can carry on and succeed in the future. And lastly, how do we manage ecotourism in Costa Rica? Well, this is a rather nice picture of a hotel room. What you might be surprised to learn is that it is in fact in an eco lodge. An eco lodge like this one in the cloud forest is an example of the kind of business that we set up to provide jobs to the locals, to provide skills to those local people, but to do so in an environmentally friendly way. Basically, these hotels aim to have a very low carbon footprint. So they recycle their waste, they produce their own energy as much as they can, as you can see in the notes. This is an outside picture of the same eco lodge. This is the El Silencio Lodge in Costa Rica. It's got a cool name. And the aim is for tourism to have as little harmful impact as possible. Solar power is used. Water is pumped up from a local river. They minimize water consumption as much as possible. They use local food sources. So there's a minimal polluting impact. Using signs as well helps tourists to respect the local cultures. For example, you might remove your shoes before entering a temple in Cambodia. A more local example to Costa Rica is that tourists are encouraged to follow the code of taking nothing but photographs and leaving nothing but footprints. Limiting numbers, you might remember this from the Barcelona example. Just limiting the daily numbers of people going to a location is a good solution. So the Monteverde Cloud Forest only allows 450 people per day. And only 250 at a time within the day. So you have trying to keep these tours small scale. This limits the group size to lessen the environmental impact. And just setting up national parks in itself is a solution. This gives the area a protected status. It means you can't damage it, you can't build on it and develop it and chop it down. It means that it is part of the sustainable economic development of the area. And it encourages, of course, ecotourism to take place, which is one of Costa Rica's main forms of income. Another solution is to make sure you get local people to be your guides, to educate visitors on the importance of conserving the area. And it can also show them where their money is being spent to protect the environment. And that makes people feel, those tourists feel that they are actually part of the solution if they can see where the money they are paying is being invested to improve and to sustain the beauty of the area. Okay, the next lesson is going to be on trends in tourism, and it focuses on graph and table-based questions. Remember, review these videos. Don't just watch them once and then consider that done. Write down the notes that have got orange backgrounds and try and learn selectively from within them. Don't try and learn every single note. Just try and choose from within them the ones that stick out to you the best. Okay, see you next time.